Hello everybody and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast episode number 81. Hello, Croeso I podcast Rhif 81. My name is Mr. Gareth Evans. Joining me today is Mr. Henry. I've been on holiday and now I'm back and refreshed for another lockdown Cooper.
Yep, and it's basically the same situation as was before. It's not a new year, new me situation. It's just we're going to lock down to Electric Boogaloo, Too Fast 2, Lockdown, whatever, all of the sequels. The Lockdown Part 2.
Lockdown Part 2 happens today for you, right? So I think you went on the holiday at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice.
I mean, it's not like my life is particularly going to change anyway, because everything has been closed for ages. I mean, like shops and that are open, but like stuff to do has been kind of hit and miss. So that's not too different.
Yeah, it's like the country's oppressing us right now. It's like we're living in a dystopian version of Britain, which, as it happens, is the theme in one of the games I'll be talking about today, which is Not Tonight. That's a nice little segue there. So as well as that, I'll be talking about Not Tonight, which I've been playing over this last couple of weeks. Henry's going to be talking a little bit more about Watch Dogs Legion. If anybody's seen his review, he's got a mixed take on it, a mixed bag, really. But he'll be going into detail and getting it all off his chest in this podcast. I'll be talking a little bit about Football Manager because my new addiction has manifest in Football Manager. I'll be talking about that just a little bit. And then after that, let me see the run order. We'll be taking Discord questions, going to a Triggered Fanboy comment of the week, YouTube comments of the week after that, one bad dad joke, maybe two, and if you're very lucky, you'll get 3 bad dad jokes of the week. And then the very end, you'll get the ending segment where I just say goodbye, essentially.
It's my favourite segment.
There you go. we tell you all to do one. So there you go. That is what is on the agenda for today. We haven't been here. We weren't here last week because obviously there were certain things happening. But we're back with a bang, and you hit the ground running with the Watch Dogs Legion review, which might I say, Henry, it was I was very impressed. I enjoyed your review, and having played it in pre-access myself in one of the Ubisoft online events that they had, a lot of the things that he said rung home with me. That's for sure. So your review was kind of mixed. Let's say that there was a lot of bad things, and one things that I noted straight off the bat was all the fucking Cockney
it's
effing and blinding
dreadful
all over the fucking place.
I mean, maybe it's because I'm English and I've been exposed to that sort of dialogue and accents and whatnot a fair bit in my life, especially from coming from the south and from Essex. So I've been to London quite a lot, and there's kind of a similar pool of accents, not exactly the same, but similar. So maybe that's why I'm more critical of it and more sensitive to it, because I know when it's bullshit and I know when it's not right. Everyone sounds like they're doing a voice. No one actually speaks the way they speak in this one. Now there was one point where like you recruit someone, because the whole mechanic of Watch Dogs Legion is it's an open worldy Ubisoft-y type thing, but you can recruit any NPC you see in the world, you do a little mission for them, then they join your little team and you get a few different like unique abilities for them, basically. So I went to recruit one, and she was like, "Oh mate, yeah, I'm gassed. Let's take out Albion or whatever." I'm like, "No, that what? No, no one speaks like that. Even people who use those kind of slang words a lot. Because I use a fair bit of slang. Everyone does in their own own way, but it just doesn't sound authentic to the way this person actually speaks. It's so like put on and forced, and I would really like to know how many actual English people and actual Londoners worked on writing the dialogue, because a lot of it's bad accents, but some of the accents are fine. It's just what they're saying is really piss poor. So the actual writing itself.
I hate that for the reason that it de-immerses me. I like to be immersed in my game world, and this is quite a decent game world. I mean, you mentioned that in your review.
Yeah, looks good. It looks like London.
And for me to be immersed in a game or a movie or a TV show or whatever, I have to be invested in the characters, and I have to believe them. Yeah. Right. And when they're talking like that, it's like, in what world is this person real? In zero worlds, this person is real. I can't believe it. How can I engage and immerse myself in this game now. Now I know that this is just a caricature. It's just like overblown version of somebody, and it's just not. Well, it just doesn't hit home with me.
Some of them are like really stereotyped, so they sound really awful, but others are kind of awkwardly so far from a stereotype that it doesn't make sense. So I was talking to a politician in the game because I think they had an ability to earn more money or something like that, which is certainly to do with some taxi things, I would say. And they spoke like I don't mean to be like classist or anything like stupid like that, but like they spoke like they were very deep working class, grew up on a council estate in the East End, not like a traditional politician. Maybe that's my own prejudices that all fucking UK politicians are absolute toffs and you know, privileged little pricks who grew up in a world completely separate from the rest of us. Maybe that's my own prejudices again, but it's just I don't buy it. Like you say with the immersion thing, I don't accept it. It doesn't feel real because it's not well done, even if that is what they're kind of going for.
Is this a symptom of the ambition for this, right? Because play as anyone, be anybody sounds awesome, right? But to pull that off technically, they've had to pre-record loads of people's different voices, or one person doing loads of different accents, or the same accent but in just in a different way,
and bending the pitch just a little bit,
bending the pitch of the same recording just a little bit, and then on the fly as you're playing, whatever voice gets attributed to whatever character, and these obviously in that instance then it mismatches, right? You've got a working class voice on a probably usually a very posh looking person or a very higher class person. It doesn't make sense, and that's just a bit of, I don't know,
there's a disconnect.
Entirely, that's it. It's just they're trying to pull this off, but they've got to pay attention to those details, right?
And maybe I am being harsh in that kind of criticism because it is a hugely ambitious idea, and in terms of being able to recruit literally anyone on the street, you can do that, and that's a hugely impressive feature that I don't think any other game has done. There's other games where you can recruit different people who do different things, but not that you can play as anyone in that capacity, and they've done a really great job with achieving that. But the level to which they succeeded, I think, is up for debate, and I touched on it in the review. I imagine in the future, with a bit more processing power and higher grade machines on the next gen and whatnot, they could probably do something really, really good with this baseline. And because it's Ubisoft, they're probably just going to take this feature and hoof it in the next Ghost Recon or the next Rainbow Six Siege, and it could be really cool. But right now, it's not there, and I seriously think there are so many performance issues that I had on my regular PS4, not the Pro or anything, just the normal one, that are just unacceptable. It crashed seven times. I cannot stress that enough. I was putting it in the Discord as I was writing. I was like, oh, this Watch Dogs review is going to be fun. It's crashed like 4 times. And nope, 5, 6.
I kept reading, and you kept updating us with how many times it was crashing.
It's appalling. And that it's quite a simple, just, it's crashed, start it up again. It wasn't like it bricking my system or completely, crashing the whole thing. So I just started it up again, but there's a fat loading screen right at the beginning, which I was meant to mention in the review, but I completely forgot. That takes ages to get through. Loading screens in general, they're not too bad, but because you're meant to be changing between characters quite regularly to get different bonuses, at least you're supposed to, there's the loading screen every time there, and that's just a little extra kind of barrier, which is understandable because they've got to do there's a lot of stuff to load. Yeah. But again, on next gen with their all singing, all dancing SSDs that they all keep boasting about, that's going to really solidify that. So when this re-releases on next gen, it's probably going to run way better, and it'll probably be better. And I have a sneaky suspicion that a lot of the reviewers from your mainstream outlets will have played it on the systems that they were given by Sony. So they've got a PS5, they've got an Xbox Series X, so it's I might as well play it on the best machine I've got. And to be fair, I wouldn't disparage them from doing that, but the review should be of it as it is now on current systems, because they're not out yet.
The problem is that the majority of people who are buying the game now are playing it on the current systems.
Exactly.
You're playing it on a base PS4, right? You should expect at least the game not to crash 7 times over the course of 20, 30, however many hours you played it. That is unacceptable.
And it wasn't even in hairy situations. It was just driving down the street and then gone.
It's just not acceptable. I think maybe if it was a PC, and the amount of configurations you can get with hardware on a PC, you can maybe forgive them for not optimizing and not getting something quite right with every of those kinds of configurations. This is a stock PS4. This is a standard PS4. They should be getting that right, and they didn't.
And the thing is, I didn't completely hate it. I've just got a notification saying my internet connection is unstable. That's not great, but we're going to persevere. I didn't hate it. I just think it failed to fully realise its ambition, but I'm still glad it tried that. To have that ambition, try something new.
Well, sure. I mean, for me, just to get my impressions out the way early, it's like I kind of enjoyed it and I like the ambition, but when it comes down to it, it's just another Ubisoft open world game. I say it every single time. Yep. There's not enough focus. There's not enough drive. It's just you get plonked into this world. All right, you can do whatever you want. Go about. But there's no need to go and do everything or anything that you want. It's like there's no motivation for me to do anything other than get the guy who can call a drone, jump on the drone, and fly around a bit because that's fun. Other than that, it's like, what am I doing now? I'm trying to infiltrate another compound. I'm trying to get to another computer terminal without being seen. I'm trying to shoot loads of people up and trying to avoid getting shot. It's the same old stuff.
And that's why video game stories are there. They're there. Like, a gameplay shouldn't justify story. Story should justify gameplay. Like, the point of a story is to give you cool scenarios where you can do cool gameplay things. And Ubisoft, for the past few years, when they were never like top tier with game stories, but for a while they were pretty good. They had like solid, like the early days of Assassin's Creed, they had an actual narrative with a beginning, middle and end and actual characters. But now most of that's gone out the window. There's virtually no story in here because, what story there is it's so unfocused because the idea is that you can play as anyone and you can successfully play as anyone, but it means that I've got no stakes in this story. Like I've got this character doesn't care because I walked up to them on the street. His name's John Brown and he's a mechanic and comes with a wrench as a weapon. Right, I'll recruit him. He's like, all right, so and so stole my car. Go get it back for me. I'll go take him out. Okay, I'll go find a guy who knows where he is, and then I'll go to the location, do the thing, come back. And then he's like, yeah, okay, I'll join up. Just like that. It's kind of too easy. You're joining a literal terrorist group. They don't even like say, "Oh, we're freedom fighters" in the game. It's like, no, you're terrorists. You're blowing shit up and you're killing people. And that's when I'm driving down the street and I end up running people over, I do feel a little bit like I should be. I feel like I should be guilty, but I'm not. Like I don't actually care, but I feel like I should. Yeah, if you know what I mean. Because I'm like, these are potential recruits. Although there was one time, I don't know what went wrong. I had to rescue one of my recruits because sometimes they get captured, and I actually really like that when that happens because it's kind of a spontaneous, semi-emergent thing you got to go and do. I rescued her, and then she just started beating the shit out of me, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna like fight you because you're really good. You're a spy, so you've got a silenced pistol and a smartwatch which can disable enemy weapons, which is great. But you're trying to kick the shit out of me, so I just had to run away. There's this girl in high heels, which is hilarious, sprinting after me down the street, and she could probably kill me if she tried to shoot me, but she was just trying to punch me. And then the fucking police were there, who were just got their hitting sticks, I can't remember, the batons, just getting involved. It turned into a big scrap, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, but like. All in all, like I said, I don't hate it. I did have fun at times because it can be quite sandboxy. Most of the missions or like the buildings you're in, the objective is like get in the building, hack this computer. That is very simple. But you can kind of like sneak in with a drone going through the ventilation system, and then while you're like outside, you can be like miles away, and you just got this little drone scampering along, little spider. Or you can disguise yourself as one of their own agents and just walk in and kind of keep your head down a little bit if you don't get too close. You can run in with a machine gun and just murder everyone. There's quite sandboxing in that regard, which I do really like. But one of my biggest kind of problems with it is I wish you were kind of forced into it a bit more, if that makes sense. In a way, they give you so much control so that you could just do it with anyone. I could walk in there and do any mission with anyone. Whereas I think if they restricted it just a little bit and made it so that, okay, you can do it with this person, but it's going to be really hard. Whereas this person is valuable. It would add value to each of the different recruits. Whereas as it stands, you don't need any of them. You can just just do it.
Because there's no progression in terms of the characters, right? And there's no progression. You think of this game in terms of like, what is it in terms of your classical, designation? Is it an RPG game? Is it it's an open world game, a sandbox game? Is there enough RPG elements to add that descriptor onto it? There's no progression in it at all. You know what I mean? It should be though. Should it not be an RPG? This is set up perfectly to be a role-playing game where you can immerse yourself in the world and become what's the group that you're representing called? Become DedSec, right? And have those, the one that I compare it to, kind of loosely, is State of Decay 2, where you play as the community rather than any individual. You can swap and change in between everyone. You can't recruit everyone in the same way, but you're playing as the community there. And each of those characters can be upgraded, and the skills can be upgraded, and you get different weapons. And it feels like when you lose one of them, it's impactful because you've put time and effort into it. You don't have that in this game. And I think that's one of its flaws, right?
Everyone's expendable because once you lose them, it's like, oh, it's a bit annoying. I've lost this person. I can just go and get another one. Some aren't as common
exactly
as
the
others.
same.
Spies aren't that common, but by the end, I had like 3. So they're my most used class, if you'd really call it that. But the only progression you get is you can unlock gadgets, which you can apply to anyone, like a cloaking device or a new spider drone, or a couple of weapons, which is like a pistol, which you start with, an SMG, a shotgun, and a grenade launcher, and they're all non-lethal, so they're pretty simple in their things. So you've got to find cooler people with bigger, nastier weapons, but none of that changes once you have them. You can swap these bits and bobs out, like you can give your spy the spider drone or the cloaking device, whatever you want, but that spy is going to stay the same from the moment you have him to the moment he dies or you finish the game. You can change the way he looks. Like, all the customization's brilliant, like visual customization. There's loads of cosmetics you can put. It's all like layered, so there's your jacket, your shirt can be tucked in or untucked, trousers, shoes, glasses, masks, face masks like the ones you wear on like these days, earrings, hats, backpacks.
That's a lot.
It's loads of shit. It's all effectively meaningless, but there's loads there if you want to engage with it. But there's nothing
obviously
in terms of gameplay progression.
Exactly, they invest a load of time and effort generating that content because they can monetize it, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to gameplay, don't think about gameplay. What makes a fun gameplay loop and what makes a compelling reason to play or motivation for the player? They haven't put any thought into that at all, it seems.
And I think, again, maybe I'm being harsh, but because maybe they've pushed so hard with all of these recruits and having such a populated city that maybe they couldn't go that step further. But I'm pretty sure I saw it somewhere, but then I couldn't find it when I was trying to look up, that they were planning to have some kind of character-to-character upgrade system, which would have really taken it up a notch. Because the spy is the one I use the most, so this is why he's a regular example. If I could start with him with just a basic setup, the silenced pistol and the watch. Over time, I would like to be able to progress him and get him really good at stealth because he's a spy. Like, that makes sense. Whereas if you play as the getaway driver, who's all about they get a car and the ability to immediately hack all cars to get out of the way. You can do it manually on each individual one, but you push a button, they're all gone, which is really useful in a chase. So if you could take them and give them a better car, or extend the range on the hack to get everything out of the way, or how long it lasts. Little things like that, I think, would make it much more rewarding to play as different characters, and more devastating when you lose them. I think I went on permadeath for a little bit, but I turned it off because I felt like you were missing out on mechanics. In permadeath, you just die. Without it, you either get arrested or like sent to hospital, and then there's a cooldown until you can come out. It's normally like half an hour or something. But then the mechanic there is that if you recruit a lawyer or a doctor, you can speed that up, which I was like, oh, that's a nice, interesting way to build my team, because I'm never going to use them in the field because they've got no like aggressive abilities for infiltration or anything. But yeah, so with permadeath, I think I lost 2 people, and I didn't give a shit because I could just get a new one.
It's one of the problems. That's
and
right.
I know, so the guy I used in the trailer, in the review, when I was saying, some of the voice acting is really bad, and he goes like, "Welcome to DedSec, blood." That's the motherfucker who died, and I just did not give a shit. I have no idea what his name is. I know he was a hacker because I didn't even recruit him. That's the thing. He's one the game gave me for like completing an area, for doing basically their version of climbing towers and shit, for unlocking that area. I didn't care. He got shot in the back like a chump. So
there you go. So we've focused a lot on the negatives and what they could have done to make this game better, right? On a lot of the things that maybe irritated us or that didn't meet our expectations. What other things would you say would make someone want to play this? Like, because someone watching might think, yeah, that's all good and well, but what if I want to play it? Like, tell me the good things about it. What did you actually like about it?
Well, it does deliver on the idea that you can recruit anyone. Like, anyone you see on the street. You can't do like story characters, like your named people who have their own cutscenes and significantly better animations and voices and are just better created because they're focused. They can just it's a bespoke crafted character. Anyone else, fair game. You can recruit them, you can do what you want with them. That's all great. They've all got little backstories and stuff which are basically irrelevant to the actual game, but they're quite fun. Like,
makes it fun, yeah.
Yeah, so you can look at someone and it'll give you like a few little fun facts about them. It'll be like, lives with his mum, has I probably can't say it on YouTube, has an addiction to various adult entertainment websites. Let's use that phrasing, and is wanted by the police for hacking a bank or something. There's loads of little things like that, and then one of the abilities you can get in your like gadget tree, well, it's not a tree, it's just a list, is the ability, I think it's called like deep profile or something like that, and that means you can kind of find out where they are at any given point. And if you look at their thing and it says they're meeting their friend Tim at this pub at this time, you can go there at that time and you will see them there, which I think is a really cool little extra thing. But you don't need to do it, which I think is one of its problems. Like, some of the characters, they don't like DedSec, so you need to kind of butter them up a little bit more to get them to join your side. But you only have to do that like once. I feel like if that was a bit more tiered, so give me like a chart of how much they like or dislike DedSec, and that should be the amount of work I need to put in, because most of it's very, very little work. And then they're just, let's join up to this cyber terrorist group who is going to change the fabric of reality as we know it because we're under a police state. Like that seems like it should be a big deal, but it's not.
But they're all disposable, right? So what does it matter?
They're all expendable. So
what does it matter?
Little what did I call him? James Brown or whatever. Fuck.
Yeah.
He's got this fun little backstory. He's got little motives. He's addicted to naughty things on the internet. But if he dies, he dies. Nothing matters. So he can get some other fool with
easily enough. Yeah.
Equally funky little backstory stuff. But there's nothing.
Right. Positives, Henry. Stick to positives.
Positives. Well, the sandboxiness, it's not as much as I would like, but it is there. You can walk in to a base or an enemy area and kind of approach it how you want. Like the ability to get on a drone, like stand on it, it's like a bit heavy duty one, fly up to the top and then just like work your way back down. That's great.
Yeah.
Or the exact same place, you can just walk, sneak through in a little spider bot and do all that. And it's quite satisfying to clear an area, or do the objective rather, without having to set foot in there. Like it's like you're in and out. Well, you're not even. You're virtually in and out, and it's game over for them. You've done what you need to do, and you can just fuck off. Easy money. Well, speaking of money, there is a microtransaction store, and that's in the review, and I've done a dedicated video on it, so I won't rehash all that here. But there's that. But in terms of currency, in-game currency that you can earn through actual gameplay, which is called Ito, someone put in Discord, and it's brilliant. There is a hack, well, not hacker, that's not the word, exploit. There's an exploit where you can effectively earn unlimited Ito, and there is a microtransaction to pay for Ito packs, so you can just get the cosmetic currency outright. So don't fucking buy it if you're one of these idiots who's going to do that. Watch the hack. I'll try and find the link in Discord, and I'll throw it in the description or something. You basically need to go outside a pub, because there's loads of pubs. It's London. Come on. And in every pub there is a safe, and in the safe there's normally a reasonable amount of money. It varies though. It can be a couple hundred. It can be less. But if you die outside of it, but then reset it and reload, quit out and reload, kind of in between the load screen of the death and whatnot, it basically changes the safe so that it constantly can be opened. Like, you don't just get one limit. Normally you open it and you then have to come back in a couple of days. Nope. This will fill it with money, so you'll get more money and you can keep doing it. Because I'm talking about this, and the other guy who did the video about it, he was talking about it, Ubisoft are definitely going to shut it down. Because what they should. It's technically a bug, so they should really fix it. But it's also going to stop them earning money, so that's going to be a big deal. So do that. Don't fucking buy it. Don't buy the microtransactions. There is stuff to like about the game. Like, I don't hate it. It's fun, sandboxy approach to stuff, but it doesn't go far enough to make it anything more than just another Ubisoft game.
It's a shame that it was Ubisoft that came up with this premise, right? With this idea. It's a shame because they've just thrown this idea into a bucket load of Ubisoft ideas where it just kind of blends into the rest of the Ubification, as Jim Sterling likes to call it. It's just disappears, and just like it's not momentous as like it should be, and it's not going to inspire many people. Maybe other developers do pick up on this idea and think, well, with procedural generation these days, we can maybe think of see what No Man's Sky did. So
procedural generated stuff is definitely, I think, in the future of gaming, all these randomly generated elements, so everyone's experience is different, which is another good thing about this. Your team will be different to everyone else's. I mean, ultimately, you don't need a massive team because you can do it with one person, and you don't need anyone with any particularly interesting abilities. Excuse me, but you can. It will be different, and hopefully, you'll find at least one person who you liked. My favorite guy, the spy I keep talking about, he had a big thick moustache, and he already had a suit, so I didn't need to buy him a new suit. Because if he's a spy, he's looking as much like James Bond as I can. He's wearing a bow tie, and that's the end of it. But yeah, there is a lot to like. I'm sure a lot of people will really enjoy it, but performance issues and not going far enough with its core principle really held it back for me.
Main issue. There you go. Thanks for those impressions. I was just thinking about procedural generation. It's just sparked a memory. I heard the other day, I think Todd Howard's been talking about Starfield. He did like a talk about Starfield in the Developer Brighton conference a few days ago. And he mentioned that because we don't know very much about Starfield, but we do know due to this talk that it will include some procedural generation, which is interesting to think. And it's going to be a single player only game as well. That was confirmed by Todd Howard during the event. I know it's a bit of a off topic thing, but I thought I'd mention that because I thought it was pretty interesting. The fact that he's talking about it now, and it's one of the games that I'm really excited for, and I like to see what the premise is for the game and what they're actually going. Is it going to be a Skyrim in space, like a single player RPG thing? We don't really know that much about it. So the thought of having procedural generation opens. The size of the game is going to be huge now. Is it going to be like No Man's Sky? Is it going to be procedural generation on the people themselves? Is that going to be janky like it is in Watch Dogs Legion? A lot of questions now about Starfield, but I'm interested. I really am.
Definitely.
Let's see how they go.
Yeah, definitely going to keep my eye on Starfield, but it is a long-ass way away. That's not coming for a long time, and they keep saying that as well. Like, they have been quite straight up being like,
say that too.
Don't expect it for a long time. Elder Scrolls 6 is coming first, and even that's donkeys away.
Oh, no, Elder Scrolls is coming after.
Is it? I thought... Oh, but well, there you go.
Yeah, Starfield's. I think Starfield's the next one.
Oh, okay.
And then Elder Scrolls is after that. But he did say in the talk that it's still a long way off them even like showing the game off. So yeah, it could be 2-3 years maybe.
Shouldn't have fucking announced it.
It's funny because they did announce it because of all the leaks going to Kotaku and Jason Schreier at the time, because they blew the Fallout 4 before it was like released about the plot and all that, and they were just scared about details being leaked from inside, so that's why they announced them. They shot themselves in the foot, really, haven't they? Jason Schreier's not
they were
Kotaku
clearly
anymore.
with the leaks in that, they had a trailer ready to go. It's not a very flashy trailer, and I've spoken many times about how much I hate it. It's awful. But they the panoramic shot of the landscape and the logo coming up. They probably could have knocked that up fairly quickly, or just paid some VFX artist a bunch to do it in a couple of hours to crunch really hard to get it done.
There you go. So let's move on to our next topic, which is my latest obsession. So I moved on from what was I obsessed with recently? many games. I think it was Hades, right? And so I played Not Tonight on the Switch last week, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But after that, I picked up Football Manager on my mobile phone, and from my experience playing football manager games, I played Championship Manager about 20 years ago for a good while. So my experience is a bit limited over the last 2 decades, let's say. So I picked it up on my mobile and I was like, I'm kind of getting into this. And I did some research. There's 3 different versions of this game, Football Manager. There's Football Manager Mobile, Football Manager Touch, which comes on the Switch, and it's like a scaled down version of the main game. And then it's obviously the main game. So there's 3 different versions of the Football Manager game. I thought, well, if this is pretty good, I'll try it on my Switch. So I downloaded the Touch version for my Switch, and I was having a decent time at that. And then I realised that the full fat version of the game was available on Game Pass. So when I got home, I was like, well, I'll try it on all 3 different platforms. And yeah, just a brief outline of my experiences. I played as a Notts County, which was a team outside of the 4th division, so they're in like the Vanderarm, I can't even name it. They're in a really bottom league. So I did the first season on my Android, and I just about missed promotion. So I was like, I'll see what. So I got on my Switch. It was funny. I started as Notts County again. I was playing 26 games in. Well, actually 8 games in. I was top of the league, coasting. Like 7 wins, 1 draw. I was like laughing. This game's easy, piece of piss. Went on an excruciatingly bad run. 28 games in, I was sacked because I didn't win another game. And so I was out on my arse as Notts County manager. So I tried it again the 3rd season. I started on a PC, and I'm doing all right now. I'm actually trying to. I think I'm top of the league after like 8 or 9 games. I'm doing pretty well. In terms of the game and how it differs from my past experience, Championship Manager isn't around anymore. This is Sega and Sports Interactive generating and publishing this game now. It's a total different company, but they've done a good job. Like if you consider, especially I'm talking about the main game now, not the touch versions, because I realised that the best version has to be on the PC. When you're sat in like this full management suite in terms of like you've got everything. You've got like the player development, like the youth team. You've got the backroom staff, which you can. There's just so many different things that you can manage, and you can assign all different responsibilities to your backroom staff. If you can't be asked with that, like things like getting interviews prior to games and stuff, if you can't be asked with that, get them assistant manager to do it. But there's like 30 or 40, maybe even 50 different responsibilities, maybe more than that you can just take on yourself and do it all. Or you can just like delegate loads of things, and it's just like the sheer depth of this game now compared to what I'm used to. It really appealed to me, and I just love it because you're role playing as a manager of a football team now, and you really feel in some ways like you are the manager. Like you sat there and you're negotiating contracts, and you're talking with individual people, having conversations with them, telling them they're doing shit in training, they need to perk their ideas up. You're trying to give them a decent team talk at half time during the game, and they see the morale being affected. It's I don't know, it's exciting. I'm not going to talk too much about it, although I have done already. But Football Manager 2021, I'm talking about Football Manager 20, which I've been playing. The next one is coming out next week in early access, and then 2 or 3 weeks after that is for the main release. So I'm definitely going to be looking to get into that. So let me note down in the comments if you've got a lot of experience with the Football Manager game. I'm still getting used to how the tactics work with the player roles, and then because there's so much in depth these days compared to how it used to be. I'm still getting used to it. So yeah, I'd like to know if anybody else is. That's my my phone that should be on silent. Yeah. So let us know down in the comments if anybody has a lot of experience with this franchise, because I'm way out of date with it. But I'm still enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to the new one. Hopefully, apparently they are upgrading the match day engine in the new one. And one of the main bugbears with this current game is that watching your game is the main experience, right? As a manager, watching your game, seeing your players run around on the field and seeing what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, and then adjusting your tactics mid-game to try and combat what the opponent's doing and try and emphasize and try and win, do what your players are doing well and emphasize that. That's one of the main attractions to the game. But it all depends on how well the match engine works, right? So if the players are running around all clunkily and they don't react for like 2.5 seconds after a ball gets played past them, or they're just not closing down, or they're just not acting like they normally would do in real life, that really takes it out of the experience, because you need your players to react and behave in a way which is reasonable and should be expected. So hopefully the new engine comes out with the new game. Apparently all your players on the pitch will make decisions every quarter of a second or half a second now, which should kind of speed up their thinking process and make them react a little faster, which should obviously give you a better game and a better time as man managing during the game. So that should be cool. And that is it. That is my new obsession. I've played maybe 30 hours across all these games over the last week. That is the limit of my obsession. Jesus. Like I said, I've done almost 3 seasons, and it takes a lot of time to do a season. I did the first season on my mobile, the second season on my Switch where I got sacked. But did I? Yeah, where I got sacked. 26 games in, I actually went through and completed that season as a manager who was out of a job looking for a new job, and nobody would hire me. So, and then the third season, I started another season, but then I did the third season on my desktop too. So I've played a lot of hours, let's put it that way. But anyway, I'll stop talking about football now, and I'll move on to my next other game, which was Not Tonight. Now, have you heard of a game called Papers, Please, Henry?
I've heard of it, but I'm not very familiar with it.
So Not Tonight is kind of a spiritual successor to Papers, Please, although it's made by a completely different developer. It's made by Panic Barn, and it's a pixel art indie game set in a dystopian post-Brexit Britain. So
not unlike Watch Dogs.
It's exactly like Watch Dogs.
I feel like we're going to get a lot of these in the next few years.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the case. This is the version I played was on the Switch, the Take Pack Control Edition, which adds like the DLC or whatever into the pack. And I think it was released last year. I think it's around £20 to buy it on Switch now. If you're in the UK, $25 in the US, somewhere around there, depending on whether you catch it on a sale or what. But I was interested because Papers, Please is, although it's from a totally different developer, it was very highly rated. And I saw this I think it was on offer at the time when I picked it up. So I thought, yeah, I'll check it out. So you take the role of a player character. Although you were born and raised in the UK, you're classed as an immigrant because one of your parents was actually an immigrant. So that's the extent of how much the country doesn't allow people of different cultures to live there. So, sorry, I'm having a little problem with my screen there. Yeah, so I'm an immigrant now, and you work on the doors of pubs and clubs and festivals as a bouncer, essentially. And the aim of the game is to try and earn enough money to pay the fees in order to stay in your country. There's a rent to be paid. There's various other bills. There's you need to raise money. So your day job begins very simply to start with. You've got to check people's IDs, let them in or not. But the difficulty ramps up really quickly because there are a lot of things that the game throws at you while you're playing. So eventually you'll have a full queue of people, and you've got to check for their age on the ID. You have to check whether the ID is expired or fake. You've got to check whether their image matches their own image. You've got to check whether they've got a valid ticket to get in. whether it's the right day, whether it's been stamped. You've got to check whether their name is on the guest list or not. And some people can get let in using the secret password, and they're very impatient too. So there's 3 different queues, 2 different queues, and then there's like a VIP person might show up, and he waits like 5 seconds, and he pisses off. So you've got to be on the ball, like you've got to move it from one queue to the next queue. It difficulty ramps up really quickly. The aim of the game, obviously, is to raise enough money so they don't throw you out the country. But to begin, you don't get paid much at all. But then you do start earning significantly more money once you level up as a bouncer, get better jobs. But then when you're earning enough money, you eventually got to balance out your outgoings, paying household bills every week, and also keeping yourself alive by not working yourself to death. So you can avoid not working yourself to death by purchasing upgrades to your house, like you can buy a better bed or a bigger fridge, which keeps you rested and better fed. And that will increase your health. If your health dips too low or goes to 0, you die, essentially. If you work too long, every night you work in a row has an impact on your health. And, the better sleep you get, the more food you get, the more health you get. So that helps. You're also not trying not to fail at your job. So if you let too many people in that are underage or have fake IDs or whatever, it can have an impact on your income. There might be a limit of like 4 people you can make a mistake with, and then it's like, right, that's it, I'm closing the bar early. You failed, and then you don't earn money that night. You get fined, and also you get an impact on your social credit, your social score. So that's on a scale of 1 to 100. So if you fail in the evening, you go down like maybe -20 on that score. You get to 0, you get axed, you get thrown out the country. So it can be a tricky balance, and I think that's what the main
take in.
It is a lot. That's where the main gameplay loop comes from, right? It's not just about checking people's IDs. It's about trying to survive, stay in the country by balancing out the amount of work that you do versus the amount of money that you spend on various different things, trying to keep yourself alive, trying to keep yourself in the good books of the authorities. And also, and to balance that out, also, you can sell drugs on the side, right? So the people coming into the queue, you're like, I'm not making enough money. I can sell these guys some drugs because you can tell by various indications on them, like they've got bubbles coming out the head, or they're wearing a cheese hat. They want a certain drug, or like a cheese. The ones with the cheese hats want the drug, want the cheese drugs. The one with the bubbles coming out the head want the other type of drugs, or whatever. So if you get that wrong, you get your social credit goes down. The more drugs you sell, your social credit goes down. So you can earn more money. You can take bribes as well. So if an underage person comes up, it's like, oh, you're too young. They can throw you back for like 40 quid, 50 quid, whatever. Just let me in, will you? So yeah, you can let them in because you know that, I can let 3 people in before I get any repercussions. So if I let this guy in and get some extra money, again, it impacts your social credit though. And eventually you can just get to a point where your health is so low, you need to work. But your social credit's too low that you can't take a night off to replenish your health. And so it's like, shit, I shouldn't have sold all them drugs. My social credit should be higher. I should have saved some money. So it's that balancing act. And I think that's where the core gameplay loop comes from. And that's where people will enjoy this because it is fun in a lot of ways. The plot's quite good. There's an underlying plot where you're trying to help these these terrorists or these people who are trying to fight against the government to try and free themselves because they're all like immigrants. So you can choose whether to help them or not, and that's quite good because there's an underlying narrative to that. The progression's decent as well. You can use your money to buy a new set of clothes. If you've got a full set, you can get certain perks for when you're working. For example, you can move faster from queue to queue, and which, time is of the essence when you're letting people into a club. You've got to hit a quota of maybe 20 people to get in the club that night, and they all take their time getting their bloody IDs out, and then if they turn them away, they might have something to say, and it's like, just hurry up, well, you've got to get like 10 more people in or I'll get sacked. So moving from one queue to the next is great. Another perk you can get from a new set of clothes is you earn more money from bribes and selling drugs, which is the one that I chose. That's quite good. There's also progression in terms of your bouncer rating. So you get scored every night that you work. You might get a C+, and you might get like 200 bouncer points. As soon as you get to like upgrade to bounce to level 2 or level 3. You get like a better list on like a guest list, for example, and it might be ordered in alphabetical order this time, so it's quicker to find the name that you're looking for on the guest list. So again, the better you do, the more improvements you can have, and a little bit of progression in it that way. So it keeps you connected to the gameplay. So I enjoyed this game. I haven't finished it because it kind of got too grindy, and this is where I kind of sum this whole thing up. It can be grindy and it can be repetitive, and it's fun to a certain extent. It does start slow, but when you start spinning all these plates and you've got like every person, you've got to check maybe 5 or 6 things, it can be quite stressful, right? And this is the main problem of the game. If you're trying to hit your nightly quota of entrants within a time limit, and then you get 4 people in a row with like fake IDs or they're from the wrong country or whatever, it's pretty frustrating. So if you're working an evening shift on the doors of a nightclub, which you need to be focused by in this game, you need to be switched on. You need to check like 5 different dates and times and on like tickets and stamps and colours on the ID. If you're not switched on and you make mistakes, you might be faced with deportation, and you might fail the game. It's not exactly the best way to relax after a long, hard day's work, doing another hard day's work. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So it's not the most relaxing game at all, but it can be fun. It can be a lot of fun. It's quite quirky. It looks nice. The music's pretty good. In terms of a pixel art independent game, I would recommend it to people who are interested in the gameplay mechanics. But I don't think it's anything special for people who aren't quite into this. Right? It's not going to be a fun, relaxing, joyful time. It's going to be if you're the kind of person who wants to set yourself a challenge and wants to be focused on because it is quite difficult, then it's going to appeal to you. Otherwise, maybe give it a miss. And this review is sponsored by all those people who say you don't ever talk about all the independent games anymore. You only talk about AAA games. Well, then stuff you. I've just done one and see how many views this one gets us. Not many, probably.
Like 2 weeks in a row gushing about Hades. Yeah,
that's true. Well, that is one of the most popular ones.
Yeah, it's a mainstream indie game.
Yeah. Well, this one kind of isn't. It's been out quite a while too. I was talking about these indie games on Switch. I don't know where people get this from that we don't talk about the.
There's too many games in the world, man. There's too many fucking games.
Yeah. Well, they got talking about 2 bloody games this week. Although one of them was a AAA type of thing. There you go. You get 3 for the price of 1 this week. And that is my verdict on Not Tonight Take Back Control Edition.
Somehow you managed to make bouncer sim or security guard sim sound kind of interesting. Like I wasn't really there with you at the beginning. It's like, oh, you're like a bouncer. I'm like, well, how compelling can that really be? But you drove a good sale.
There's a lot of good gameplay in there, right? They know how to keep the gameplay interesting, because it's not just about earning money, staying in the country. It's about balancing and making decisions based on how you want to develop your character. If you want to invest in your home to make your life easier, or if you want to invest in your clothes to make your job easier, and there's a lot to this game outside of just checking. That the main gameplay, the main earning money part of it is you've got to check people's IDs and got to check that they've got this and that and whatever. That's part of it, but it's not the whole gameplay loop. There's a lot more to it, and that's what makes it interesting. That's what gives it fun. Not enough fun to keep me playing till the end, because I played maybe 10 hours plus, and I don't know, it wasn't relaxing for me. And then Football Manager came along. I started playing Football Manager, and then I got addicted. I was like, not tonight. Well,
they're two very I don't really know what you'd kind of describe them as. Well, they're both sort of sims in that you're looking after lots of stuff, lots of like management, both management sims really, in a way, like optimization and trying to maximize efficiency and that sort of thing. So you've definitely in that kind of kind of headspace at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's the kind of game that appeals to me, right? I've always been like that. It doesn't matter about how a game looks and about the amount of things that you can do in a game. It matters about how a game plays and what experience it gives you.
Yep.
A game like Ubisoft's Watch Dogs Legion, Ubisoft's anything, Watch Dogs Legion. Yeah, it's a very I don't know. It's aimed at a young or a late teen audience, I'd say, like someone who has got the edgy kind of sense of humor and just
so desperate to be edgy.
Yeah, and it's not for me. Like it doesn't connect with me. I don't get this. I don't get these characters. I don't get the gameplay, but it looks good. It looks great. It's just like, and for someone saying to me, "Oh, how can you prefer to play Not Tonight versus Watch Dogs Legion?" It's like, obviously this game's better. Well, no, it's not. Obviously this game's better. It's catered towards somebody who's younger, somebody who's looking for a better looking game over a game with better.
It's a popcorn
mechanics.
game. Like it's like your Transformers versus your a more serious film.
Yeah, it's not a thinking man's game, that's for sure. And with that, those is our rounds up our impressions of games this week, and I guess we move on to the next section, which is the community section. So I do like to shout out and mention everyone who signs up to our Patreon, to support us on Patreon every single podcast. And without our Patreon supporters, we literally wouldn't be able to keep coming and keep spouting shit about these games. We could not do it without the patrons. So it's thanks to everybody on Patreon and supporters on YouTube memberships too, that we thanks to everyone for supporting us. If you do want to support us and help us bring you this content in future, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. Like I said, every single dollar counts, because YouTube doesn't pay us enough. It's a simple fact. And my thanks this week go to the 3 new signups. We've got Bruno the BRZY, Bruno the Breezy, who pledged $1. So thank you very much, sir. He says, "You guys make me laugh. Thanks." He sent us a message, and thank you very much, sir. We appreciate the support. Next up, Kate Fury pledged $1 per month. Appreciate that, son. Don't know why I called you son, but there you go. And lastly, J Nepos Gonzo donated $1, and he also sent us a message. "It's only $1, but I enjoy your content and your points of view. I wish it could be more. Thanks." Well, we appreciate every single dollar from anybody and everybody. So Jay, thank you very much, sir. Get another salute there. And with all that said, some of the perks that you can get if you do sign up, you can get early access to the podcast for 2 days, which is, it's worth the price of admission. You can get to ask us questions for the podcast every week. Again, well worth the price of admission. It's $1 for that. Awesome. And then on top of all that, you get access to the members only version placed in the Discord, which is like the bad dad jokes of the week. I mean, if anything isn't worth $1, it's bloody that. Anyway, we'll get into that later on. But talking of questions, we'll start this week with the Metal Shark quiz. And I haven't looked at this, so thank you, Metal Shark, as always, for providing the quiz. And a game of Who Wants to Be a Gaming Know-It-All, with Henry, our snazzy presenter, and Gaz, our first contender. Okay, you should read this.
Okay, where are we? Wait, hold on. I think you've read it backwards, isn't it? Our snazzy presenter Gaz and our first contender Henry from Essex.
Oh,
square brackets. Wild applause. You're the snazzy presenter, so go get your sequined jacket and let's get to it. Wild applause. I assume everyone watching is providing this wild applause. I'll just have to imagine that.
Yeah.
So I think you're reading and I'm answering.
So I don't know how I read you as me, but or me as you. There you go. Yeah, I'm the presenter. You have 3 lifelines, Henry. You got a 50-50 Ask Gaz and a single Google search. This is it's taken to a new level now. Taking it to a new level. Who wants to be a gaming know-it-all? It all makes sense now. And as this is a modern game, you do not lose all your progress if you get the answer wrong. 1 second. Although the questions will increase with difficulty as you progress. So First up, question number 1. So you got a 50-50 Ask Gaz or single Google search. So that means I can't read the answers until the end, I guess. Which movie character has just been added into Mortal Kombat 11, Henry? Is it A, Jason Bourne, B, Rambo, C, James Bond, or D, Shrek?
Fortunately, I know this one because I think it's hilarious. And they've just added Rambo fairly recently because they did Terminator a little while ago, then they did RoboCop. So they're getting all of the classic 80s action guys, and I think it's great. I think that's awesome. It's super cheesy and it's great.
And the answer is... It's Rambo. Well done, Henry. That was well answered. Moving on to question number 2. Who has the fastest run speed in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Is it A, Snake, B, Isabelle, C, Wii Fit Trainer, or D, Sonic? You should know this.
I mean, I feel like the obvious answer is Sonic, but surely that's too obvious because I mean he's Sonic. Like that's his thing is that he's fast. But I mean, Snake's not that fast. Isabelle, I have a vendetta against Isabelle, but I don't think she's that fast. Wii Fit Trainer's not that fast. It has to be Sonic. Sure.
Is correct.
Oh, thank goodness.
It is Sonic. That's 2 from 2 so far. Question number 3. What type of Pokemon is Charmander? A, fire, B, water, C, electric, D, ghost.
He's a fire type.
He's a fire is correct. That's 3 out of 3. That was pretty easy for you, eh? Number 4.
Charmander's my boy. Like he's my starter in Pokemon Red. Always Team Charmander.
There you go. Question 4. Borderlands 2 has a Cavern of the Creepers featuring characters from which video game? A, StarCraft, B, Silent Hill, C, Minecraft, D, Roblox.
I don't play Borderlands, and I'm not terribly familiar with any of those. But I think creepers are in Minecraft. I think they're a Minecraft thing. So I'm going to say that.
You're going to go with Minecraft, and the answer is Minecraft, correct. Cavern of the Creepers. Creepers are from Minecraft, and that's 4 from 4.
Are they the green things?
Yeah, they're like the cactus looking things that explode, yeah. Well done. You're on a roll. You're 4 out of 4 without batting an eyelid. Number 5. Traditionally, what colour are Wario's dungarees? Blue, purple, yellow, green.
I think they're purple, and his like shirt and hat are yellow, so his dungarees are purple.
Is correct. That was quite easy, that one. But you know, we're doing well. 5 from 5. Which of the following is not a location in the original Red Dead Redemption? Nuevo Paraiso, B, West Elizabeth, C, Mount Hagen, D, New Austin.
I think it's C, Mount Hagen. Nuevo Paraiso is the Mexico region. West Elizabeth is with Blackwater, and New Austin is with Armadillo, and that's kind of like the main hub. So Mount Hagen
is correct. 6 from 6, and you haven't used a single lifeline. Oh my goodness. Question
I'll use all
7.
3 on the last one just for the sake of it.
What capability of the PS5 not present in the PS4 does Sony list last on the UK page for the PS5? Is it A, haptic feedback, B, ultra high speed SSD, C, 8K output, or D, ray tracing?
Okay, so it's something the PS4 can't do and the PS5 can, so it's what they're advertising last on their little page. Okay, ultra high speed SSD, they keep promoting that. That's their
main
big selling point, right? Yeah. So that's not it. Haptic feedback, they're quite proud of their controller, so I'd imagine that's quite high up. So it sounds like 8K output, which is a nice buzzword. Like a lot of people know what 4K is, so they must be like, oh, well, 8K, I know that must be good. I feel like less regular consumers, non-gamers, know what ray tracing is. So I might go for ray tracing.
You're going for ray tracing. Final answer.
It's either 8K or ray tracing. Oh, fuck it. I'll use a lifeline. Let's go 50-50.
Let's go 50-50. So it's either B, ultra high speed, or C, 8K output.
8K output.
You could have asked me and I'd have said 8K output, and it is the right answer, 8K output. So any of your lifelines might have won there.
Yeah. I would have thought 8K output would be further to the top because it's it's a buzzword.
Well, no, I think ray tracing is a little higher than 8K output in terms of popularity. But yeah, they were pushing for 4K so badly in like the mid-generation last year, and it's like 8K is just like a footnote on this generation.
I guess maybe the consumer isn't ready for it in the sense of having like the right TVs and stuff.
But either way, it's 7 from 7 and 1 lifeline used. Question number 8. According to Nintendo's finance figures as of the 30th of September 2020, what is the top-selling Switch title? A. Animal Crossing New Horizons. B. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. C. Pokemon Sword and Shield. Yes, I'm cheating by combining them. Well, they're cheating by bloody combining them. Or to C. Pokemon Sword... D. I'm doing good today, aren't I? Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Well, Mario Kart 8 is always in the charts, but it's not it. Smash Bros. Is often in the charts, but that's not it. It's between Animal Crossing, which only came out this year, but is consistently in the charts and is dominating, and Pokemon, which, that's the cheeky one, because they put them all together, because it's Pokemon Sword, Pokemon Shield, and Pokemon Sword and Shield as a pair. And that definitely was at the time. Animal Crossing might have nicked it, but... wait, how many lifelines have I got left? 2?
You've got 2 left. You can Google it, you can ask me.
3 questions. So if I ask you, do you just give me the answer because you can see the answer? Or are you going to
I can't see I can't see the answer, but I have clicked the 50-50. So if you ask me, you get my answer based on I've got the 50-50. So that makes it more likely that I'm right.
It's going to fucking narrow it down to the 2 I'm torn between anyway.
I won't tell you what it is. I'm just going to give you one of my guesses if you ask me.
I'm not going to read ahead to the next questions because I feel like that would influence my choice of a lifeline. I can sacrifice 1 point because I'm not. We don't go back to the beginning in this version if he wants to be a something or other. I'll go Pokemon. Let's go Pokemon. As of September 30th, is the highest selling Switch title.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, Pokemon.
Is the wrong answer. The answer is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Really? Oh, wow. Well, I overlooked that.
Doing so well. I was rooting for you and everything then, Henry. My God.
Well, Mario Kart must have had a real boost through lockdown. I mean, it is always in the charts, so it's just... I thought Pokemon was doing even better, but fair enough. I'm happier. I like Mario Kart 8's great. I play it all the time.
There you go. Team Mario Kart for the win. Question number 9 then. We've got 7 from 8 so far. Which game engine powers Iron Man VR, Kerbal Space Program, Firewatch, and Hearthstone? Which game engine? So is it A, Frostbite, B, Unity, C, Unreal, or D, CryEngine?
Well, it's not Frostbite because they're not first-person shooters and they actually run.
Yeah.
Unreal is I think widely the most popular, so it could be that, but I don't know if they've got the facilities for like VR. And CryEngine, isn't that basically just does Crysis, doesn't it? Or am I mistaken?
Well, that's where it originated, right?
Yeah, that's what it started with because it was the benchmark back in the day for a good PC. So what I've got Ask You and a Google search. As my lifeline. I'll ask you. What do you think, Gaz? I'll use that lifeline.
Well, I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty sure it's not Unreal. Frostbite's off the table, and CryEngine is it's not used.
Yeah. Unity's the only one.
I play Hearthstone.
I just don't know.
Yeah, I'm leaning very strongly towards Unity. Would be my answer there, Henry. If that's any help
Unity
to you.
Because I don't have reasons for it not to be Unity. I have reasons for it not to be the other ones. So yeah, let's go Unity.
And the answer is Unity. You
good bit of teamwork.
Very well this. There you go. So we've got 8 from 9, and the final question now, which you can Google anyway, so it's not even gonna.
Yeah, what are the rules on Googling? Can I just Google
anything? Yeah,
the exact thing.
Google the answer exactly. Yeah. You recently reviewed Watch Dogs Legion. Who was the creative director behind the project? Was it Navid Kavari, Ashraf Ismaili, Chris Hocking, or Damien Poussey?
It's not Ashraf Ismail because he did the other one, Assassin's Creed, but then he left because of controversy. I don't know who the other ones are. I think maybe Damien Poos, but I've got a lifeline, so I'm just going to straight up Google. Or is it me Googling it, or is it you Googling it and then telling me?
No,
then
you've got Google. You've got Google.
What was it? Creative director behind Watch Dogs. Creative director, Watch Dogs Legion. The answer is Clint Hocking.
No.
Not Chris Hocking. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, it's Clint Hocking.
Oh, right. Clint Hocking. Does that mean that Metal Shock's got one wrong?
I mean, maybe. Yeah. Clint Hocking is the creative director.
It's a mistype. It's a mistype from from Metal Shock. And you know what? If it wasn't for you having your Google Lifeline, we'd have never known. I would have known that.
And I would have said some other guy.
Chris Hocking. The answer is nobody, because all those answers are wrong. The answer is, in fact, Clint Hocking, which it was a trick question. And actually, you get a bonus point for that, Henry. So I'm giving you 2 points for that. Okay, I'm the
well, that balances out then.
Master.
That gives me 10 out of 10 because I got the Nintendo one wrong.
You used your lifelines to get you out of trouble and get you 10 out of 10 this week, Henry. That is a clean sweep.
This is how I win.
With a Google search. There you go. Thanks very much, as always. One of my favourite segments of the week is the Metal Shock Quiz of the Week.
There were some very easy ones at the beginning, and then it gradually got a little bit harder, and I had to do a bit more work. And you leave today with $1 million. Well done. Thanks, Chris.
Ticker tape at the ready. Thanks very much, Metal Shark, as always, dude. So let's move on to the other questions. Do we have any time left? God almighty. Right. We have a bunch of, maybe 8 questions, so we've got to get through these because we are kind of running out of time.
Questions. Okay, so the first one unfortunately comes with a link that I'm going to be honest, I didn't end up watching. I'm sorry. But my question is about the pricing of games. But rather than type everything out, I've already said that. Rather than type everything out, I've already said, I'll just link you to my poorly made video from the other day. Well, unfortunately, because I was lazy and stupid, I didn't watch your video. But in terms of pricing, the question is $60 still a reasonable price for games? Now, this is going to be a hugely hotly debated thing going forward, especially because it's about to change.
Well, I watched the beginning of Venticus Prime's video. Maybe watched 5 minutes, and that I was away of it. So I apologise for not being able to finish it. I think his point is that prices haven't gone up for 20, 30 years for a long time, and he believes that they should go up. He doesn't care what people think. So
I mean, good for you for being,
because of inflation. 2000, it's just the price of art. Apparently, I'm just trying to skim through it now. I can't really hear anything, but yeah. So, I mean, it's an interesting discussion, and it's not one for us to answer. I think I would take the price increase if they got rid of microtransactions. If they take all that shit out and give us a full, complete game with progression that isn't tied to microtransactions. Take out all the cosmetic bullshit that you buy. Take all that out. I'll pay $80 for a decent game. Oh God, yeah. I think I much prefer that.
The question for me is, I don't think there should be a flat $70 across every AAA game. It should be scaled, because so many games cost so much fucking money to make. Games like The Last of Us, which had delay after delay after delay, and Cyberpunk, which had delay after delay after delay. That adds the development costs up and up and up. So all of that's going to mean that it's going to be harder to make a profit on these things, and they're very, very expensive to make. But you're still paying $60 or £40 to £50. I mean, that's all over the place these days.
It's a lot of money, but
you're paying the same price for a game, but the games have got more expensive to make. So the question is, do you pass that on to the consumer? And I don't believe there's really a right answer to it. But the thing is, if it does go up to 70, and that enables more games to be made at higher quality, if that makes sense, because they can put more money into it in the first place, because they'll get more of it back in the long run. If that happens, and they're not full of fucking microtransaction bullshit, which is very, very unlikely, then I can it's an unpleasant pill to swallow because 70 quid is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you'll have to do it. And the thing is, if the price does go up, realistically, your life doesn't actually change because you can just not buy it straight away. You can wait.
Yeah.
And you should wait. Yeah. You should really wait on games all the time. And I'm a bit of a hypocrite for saying that because I end up buying most games I'm into on day one anyway. But a lot of that is because of this job. I have to be on top of things. But yeah, like if it does go up, the easiest option for you to do is just wait. It might be a bit annoying. You won't be able to get there, on day one, but something you'll have to consider.
I think ultimately it's always boils down to business. The markets always decide if whatever price point a product is placed at, if it's too much, they won't sell enough. If it's not enough, if it's cheap, they'll sell loads and miss out on profits. I do have to contest the point that games are more expensive to make, but they're making shitloads more games than they selling shitloads more games than they used to. Right?
That's
There's
true.
so much more money in games these days. It's not like these big corporations that make billions and billions of profits. Like, there's only a few of them that make that much, but millions. Let's say tens of millions of profits. There's loads of companies that make tens of millions of profits. They don't need, like, where's the extra money going? Yeah. It's not going to redevelopment. Yeah. It's not going into the developers' wage packets. It's going into the investors' pockets and into the CEOs' pockets. Yeah. That does not justify increase in games prices. It makes no sense at all. So you'd have to convince me to really to say
this is what I mean by it should be on. You should be deciding your price on a studio to studio basis.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
If your game is really, 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 really expensive to make, and you do want to charge $70, even $80, that's your choice. And then, as you say, the market will decide. If people, the consumer, you and me and everyone, if you don't want to pay it, we won't pay it. And then they'll have to bring it down, and they'll have to adjust the way they develop games to make it more cost effective, because making games is so expensive, and a lot of them burn through money because they're like companies like BioWare with their BioWare Magic, when they say like, and CD Projekt's been accused of the exact same thing, of like pissing about in the pre-production stage, just kind of not wasting time, but not getting anything done, not laying down any actual like code and raw stuff to make the game. It's just all of that's burning money. So I feel like if you can figure out how to optimize that, that'll make things better. But the whole industry is due for a real big shake-up, and because it's gotten so big so bloody quickly, it's going to come hard and fast. And
it's doing. I don't really want to labour on this one too much. We've got loads of questions, but
we do.
I think it's a good question though. I think in terms of the industry's doing so well at where the price point is, right? Would the industry be doing so well if all the AAA games are priced at 80 quid? Or they're priced at 100 quid? If they went along with inflation over the last 20 years, would it be doing so well still? They wouldn't be selling as much copies, that's for sure. Piracy would probably be higher. Yeah. Like, you can never tell. Like, there's loads of different... Like, it might be the price point that's led... Like, one of the major factors that's led to the industry doing so well. That might be the case. It might just tip everything out of balance if you increase the price too much. It might. Who knows? We're not analysts.
Just like with everything, it's almost as if there is no one right answer.
Just our stupid opinions. And thanks for the question, Vianticus. Let's move on to Leds, who says, this is a quick and easy one. Your guesses on when Cyberpunk will actually release? Honestly, at this point, I expect I won't see it till March. What's your guess, Henry?
Like, it could go either way to me. Like, I feel like if they delay it again, which is possible, they're going to catch so much heat. That, like, because they get it a little bit...
We said that before, though, didn't we?
No, but they do. They still get loads of, like, people getting mad. More and more people can't get mad every time. And there is no way that it will come out after March. I'll put it that way, because... Or after... Is it March or April? When the tax year ends, basically. It has to come out before then. Even if the game has... breaking bugs, I feel like, because they do have to put something out because they're shareholders and that, they'll have to put it out.
It has to come out on December the 10th, and I'll give you one good reason for that. It's because December the 10th is my 40th birthday, and if anything could make me happy for turning into the next decade of my life, It will be being able to play Cyberpunk.
And if Cyberpunk 4077.
Yeah, my guess is definitely December the 10th, because otherwise I'm going to be a depressed 40-year-old. Thanks for the question, lads. Let's move on.
Next one on a similar sort of note. From Cloney, I'm absolutely overhyped for Cyberpunk at this point. I couldn't care less for when it comes out. Deliberately didn't watch the Night City Wire. Watch Dogs I lost all hope for when UB announced DLC pre-release. That was the game, right? Or was it Vikings, Creed, not Assassins? And all the delays honestly made me lose track of what is due to come out and wasn't and what isn't, rather. So the question, what games are you still hyped for? Were you hyped for some games and have lost interest completely now, or are you just that certain that you're going to buy Cyberpunk that nothing can shake your resolve? Well, I am certain I'm going to buy Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Even if it's awful and, glitchy, that's kind of the risk you have to take when you're doing this sort of stuff. The best example of a game I was hyped for that I'm really falling off on is the Vampire the Masquerade. I was really into that. It looked really great, and now all I'm seeing is problem after problem after problem, and I'm yet to see anything that gets me back on board. I mean, I hope it's good, but I'm kind of very, very skeptical. Another one in a very similar sort of situation is Dying Light 2. I love the first Dying Light. It was brilliant.
It's true.
But again, a lot of behind-the-scenes issues, a lot of developmental issues, and with them, there's a lot of he said, she said. So those are the two probably the best examples for me on games I'm falling off the hype train for.
Yeah, I'm still I don't get hyped for games because I know that there's always a bittersweet experience with games for me these days. It's if I get too hyped, then it's the No Man's Sky effect for me. I'm sorry, I learnt my lesson. I never get hyped, overly hyped. So yeah, I'm excited for Cyberpunk and I want to play that, and I play it now. But I'd expect it not to be like I want it to be. I'd expect it to kind of be fun in more ways, but yeah, I don't get overhyped. I never do. I'm far too old for that now. And thanks for the question, Mr. Cloney99. Moving on to Venticus Prime's second question of the week. As I'm typing this, Steam is having its Halloween sale. Even disregarding the economic situation, I'm not inclined to purchase games. Do you find yourselves like me, avoiding purchasing games because the Steam DRM system requires updating, and it seems that the DRM system can be used to retro-write the games and installing post-purchase EULAs? To answer your question, since I'm the Steam boy here and Henry isn't yet, but might be soon, do you find yourselves like me avoiding purchasing games because the Steam DRM system requires updating? And it seems like, no, I never get put off by Steam's DRM. It's just something I accept now. Can be used to retro-write their games and installing post-purchase EULAs. That's a lot of words that really can't wrap my head around right now.
This is always great with the complicated questions. I mean, keep them coming. They're brilliant, but they can be.
I don't want to deep dive into this too much, but no is the answer. I don't get put off by Steam's DRM or anything that Steam does. If I want to buy a game on Steam, I'll just buy it on Steam. So yeah, that's a short answer.
Okay, next up is Angry Hobbit. Hey guys, so I've obviously missed out on playing Cyberpunk for a week straight on my annual leave now. It's been moved back again. It's quite a controversial topic in a recent video. Looking towards AC Valhalla. I haven't enjoyed an AC game since Black Flag, between poor mechanics, loot boxes you have to buy, and little to no story. I've purchased Odyssey on sale months ago and quickly dismissed it because of piss poor mechanics, but picked up playing it again this weekend. Now, Henry, stop me if I'm wrong, but it actually seems to have a story to it. Anyway, back to Valhalla. Well, you're not entirely wrong. AC Odyssey does have a story. I just don't think it's a very good one, and I never finished the game. I got like 20 hours in, I was just like, ugh. I just completely fell off and had no motivation to go back. Okay, anyway, back to Valhalla. I know you've already played it, Gaz, and I'm guessing Henry has the early release code too. What are your prospects on this game? Does it have some playable substance to it? Is it a good Viking game? Is there a damn story to it? And lastly, in capitals, will you do a review for the channel, please?
Well, Henry, you're still under embargo.
I can neither confirm nor deny. I can neither confirm nor
but we can say you're under embargo.
Anything. Maybe not. It'll be a mystery.
At this point,
you'll never know.
We can confirm without getting in too much trouble that Henry's under embargo, so he can't talk about it. But There will be a video early next week. That much we can say, right?
There will be
a video, whatever it is.
Assuming I finish the game that I may or may not be playing in time for the embargo date, which I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to tell you, so I'm just not going to. If I finish it in time, you'll have my review then. Yeah. If not, you may or may not have a
strong
impressions, kind of more casual, less formal video. You may or may not, though. No one knows. It's a mystery.
What are your impressions for the game? Okay, I can answer this because I played it and I'm not under embargo. So, I played like 3 hours of it, so for whatever that means to you. What are prospects of this game? I think a lot of people will like it because it's a different take on the Assassin's Creed. It's not really Assassin's-y at all. It's more like a run around, smash your way through, 10th century England kind of thing. Does it have some playable substance to it? Yeah, I think it'll. I think a lot of people will like this game. Is it a good Viking game? From what I've seen, yeah, it's pretty decent. Is there a damn story to it? From what I've seen, yeah. There is a story to it. There's a lot of ubification in it. However, I think that this is a lot better game than Assassin's Creed. Watch Dogs Legion, and it's the game, if any, the one Assassin's Creed game that I'm kind of interested in playing, separate to what I've played of it already. So, I think you would enjoy this. Attentively would recommend you check it out. Definitely check out Henry's impressions / review / whatever else he's going to produce next week.
May or may not be coming.
Definitely check that out, which may or may not be coming. I think it's definitely a one to look out for. I don't think it's going to knock anybody's socks off. I don't think it's going to be one of those games that you're going to be talking about beyond playing it. I think it's one of those you're going to play, have a good time with, and just leave it. But there you go. You might have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for the question, I'm Angry Hobbit, and hopefully my short impressions there will tide you over until Henry can produce his, or until he may or may not produce his his impressions. Is it me to read now? Angry Hobbit's another question. Another brutal shag, marry, kill. Wow, this has been a while. First up, Buttercup from Bleeding Edge. I like that. First up, Buttercup. Let's have a look at these images.
She's
right?
something. She's
Buttercup
something.
From Bleeding. Is that the one with the things around her? Oh no, Buttercup. That was the. Oh right, she's the heavy set lady with her boobs out and a midriff showing, right, and the pink hair in a couple of rollers, and she's a tank. She's an absolute tank of a beast of a woman.
She's got like a unicycle thing.
Oh right, she's sitting on a big wheel. Right, I missed that bit. Wow,
I think she's attached to it. I don't know if she's got legs. Like she looks like
she's a lot of woman. That girl. She's a lot of woman. A lot of people do like a lot of woman. So I mean, there you go. She's got her appeal. Next up, we have Quelaag from Dark Souls. Now, Quelaag from Dark Souls is the spidery woman one. Is that the one I'm looking at now? She's the topless spidery woman thing.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a mermaid in the way. The top half is a nice, beautiful woman, but then bottom half is this horrendous spider monster.
Yeah. Okay. That's Quelaag. And last up, we have a nurse from Silent Hill. So we're talking scantily clad, I might say, in a very low cut nurse's outfit, but covered in blood. She's got blood or whatever that is, like veins popping out all the way down every skin you can see. Her face is obscured by some sort of bandaging, and she's got a nice, quaint little nurse hat on top. So, I mean, she's in terms of scary game characters, she's not the best looking thing. But she's got some shape to her. She hasn't got 8 legs, let's put it that way. Henry, what's your answer?
Oh god,
who would you shag? Who would you marry? Who would you kill?
Well, I think there's kind of pros and cons for each of them in their own ways.
There always is. So, but we need your reasons. We need your rationale, Henry. That's the important part. It doesn't matter who.
I'll go.
It matters why.
I don't know anything about the lore or anything of these characters. I'm only going off what I'm looking at. I think I will marry Buttercup because she's a big girl, which means
she knows how to cook, probably.
Exactly. She likes her food. I like food. We can bond over that. And she's someone who can keep me warm at night. There's a lot to cuddle.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like prepping the food, she's got those two big like chainsaw disc things on her hands. She can get through chopping them carrots. You know what I mean?
That's probably why she's such a big girl. She can just chop up her food real quick, so she can eat even faster. It's great. Right, I'll marry. Marry
Buttercup.
Buttercup.
Would you shag the spider with the tits out?
I think I'm going to kill the spider on the reasoning, because it's like waist down is spider, so all of the important bits are on the spider side rather than the scantily clad lady side. So I don't really want to be going near that sort of business. And everyone loves the naughty nurse's outfit. She might be a bit gross, but we'll do it in the shower, clean her up a little bit, and I'll have a good shag with the Silent Hill nurse.
Well, you're thinking of the spider, right? This is the question you've got to ask yourself. All right, you can't.
Where's the vagina?
You can't traditionally shag this spider character. However, she does have a mouth and a pair of boobs. So, I mean, in the traditional sense, a good shag is kind of out the question. But, you know,
good bit of something else.
If you can ignore the fact that there's like horrible spidery legs and a big spider's mouth down there, you can maybe get something done.
I don't know. I feel like it might be a struggle to perform given the horrific creature that is nearby.
Yeah,
you don't always have to be quite high up in order to access any of those additional facilities.
I'm just throwing that option out there, Henry. I'm actually with you. I'm in agreement here. I think with all the, I don't think I can marry any of those horrible creatures. I think Buttercup, she's not my ideal looking girl, but she at least is wholly girl. She's a full girl.
She looks tough. She looks like she could probably drink pretty well too.
There's a lot of her to love, that's for sure. So I'm with you. Let's agree. We're all gonna marry Buttercup. We're gonna shag that horrible creature. Maybe we can bend her over. I don't know. And then the spider can just do one. And that's the answer. That is our answers. There you go.
Job is a good one.
Job done.
Okay, next up, I think. Okay, the second to last question. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Oops, excuse me. White Wolf, question for the podcast. Pillars of Eternity inspired. Reincarnation is real. You get to choose a nation to grow up in for the rest of your next life once you die. But you cannot choose the nation you grew up in this life. Which do you choose and why? So we die, we're reborn somewhere else. Can't be in this one. I'd quite like to grow up in somewhere like Australia because it's nice and I think the Australian accent is fabulous, although in my new life I probably wouldn't think it was that fabulous. I'd quite like to be somewhere in Scandinavia, like Finland or Norway, because of all their kind of Viking heritage. I think is really cool.
How many countries are you going to choose?
I'm going to give you the whole nation. But
you're allowed one.
I think I've said Australia before about something like this, so I'll say somewhere in Scandinavia, like Finland and Norway and Sweden and all that.
I think this answer for me is pretty easy. The one that springs to mind for three main reasons is Italy, right? Reason number one.
Good choice.
Reason number one, the food. You can't go wrong with a pizza and pasta. You cannot go wrong. Reason number two is the weather, right?
Yeah.
You get good weather in Italy. And the football's good as well, right? Reason number three is the girls.
Yeah.
I mean,
so that was definitely in my reason for Scandinavia, because all those thick-jawed Viking bloodlines.
Yeah. Italy's the winner. Anyway, thanks for the question, White Wolf. Next up, Earthman Ben. Xbox Series X states that it has 512 gigabytes of storage on the box. Yet, after the operating system, there's only 364 gigabytes available by a user. Usable by a user. The Series X states 1 terabyte with only 802 gigabytes available. So the question is, do you think it's right to market this information on the box this way? Should consumers expect this or be more in tune with the products they buy? This has always been the case for PCs. You've got to put Windows or whatever
every bit of tech these days.
Yeah. I think people are kind of used to this. Is it the right way to market? It depends. I mean, can you imagine like when an operating system becomes like half the available? it would be ridiculous. And it almost isn't the case. I mean, 512 gigabytes and 150 of that gigabytes, I know it's not half, but it's like 30% of that storage is taken up by the operating system. That's a bit of a chunk off. But as long as people understand, there should be an asterisk saying, by the way, this doesn't include the... it'll be smaller given the operating system. So long as that's clear, although it might be small print and it might deceive a few people, it'll only deceive you once, because once you know that this is how they do it, then you know. So long as it's clearly written, I think they can get away with it, although I probably don't think it's right. Yeah,
I think all consumers should be more in tune with products they buy. You should try to be in tune with everything. Obviously, it doesn't always happen. But I think it's wrong that they put it. I'm fine with it if you want to put 512 gigabytes and then underneath, this is how much the OS is going to take up, especially as the operating system is going to only get bigger as they continually update it and add new features. So that really should be like a baseline, like 512 plus half of it's missing because of this, and that's only going to increase. So I really think it should be displayed on the box. I reckon it probably is somewhere in there, in like the like paper manuals and stuff you get in the boxes, but it's not obvious enough, I don't think. But yeah, you're right. People should be aware of this by now. And if they're not, maybe you are now. Maybe now you know that if you've bought your 512 gigabyte Xbox Series S, that actually most of that, well, a decent chunk of that is inaccessible to you.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your questions this week. We really appreciate them every single week. Let's move on next to the Triggered Fanboy comment of the week.
It's less of a single triggered fanboy in a way. It's this one person gets it, but it's not one comment. It's rather a whole thread, and there's kind of a bit of a situation around it, which I thought was kind of enjoyable. So in a video, I think it was last Friday, maybe last Thursday, last week, I did a segment about Cyberpunk, which it was delayed, obviously. Then a load of the devs have been saying that they've been receiving death threats, which is obviously unacceptable. And then a lot of people are complaining, like, because they booked time off to play the game. And a few different people commented it, and some people in Discord said the same thing. So I clearly made a mistake in the way I was articulating it. I came across as a bit of a dick, and I am sorry for that. I didn't mean to do that. But my point is that if you're booking time off for a video game, that's quite a privileged and luxury position to be in, because not everyone could do that. Anytime I take time off, that's time I have to consider, because if I'm not working, I'm not getting paid. I don't get, because the way this relationship works with me and Gaz is I'm freelance. So any time off is time I'm not creating something, so I have to consider that it's time unpaid, basically. I can't just take a week off to play a game and just be fine. I took a time off recently, but that was because it was a proper holiday and time away, and it was with my girlfriend. It was a big thing. It's not just, a singular experience of playing a video game. That's all I meant. Again, I'm sorry if I came across like a dick, because a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people seem to take it the wrong way, and that's fine. That's my fault. But this guy, it's the bread and butter of the kind of comment, the simplest form of the Triggered Fanboy. It's from, I don't know if that's Kermit or Kemet or Kermit or something like that. Kemet Mao. What I'm saying is I can't tell if it's an R and an N really close together or an M. But Kemet Mao or Kermit Mao says, dislike and subscribe. Who are you to tell us how we should spend our day off? Now, what I like about this is it kind of goes on for a little bit, but that is not something I ever once did. So my comment back was, I never said that. I said it was petty to get your panties in a bunch about it. Being disappointed is totally understandable. Being disappointed about losing your time off. Yeah, you book time off and you can't use it for the desired purpose. Yeah, that's a real bummer. But screaming about it under the announcement tweet is childish, and which it is. That's pathetic. You can be a little annoyed. Cool, yeah, totally get it. But screaming about it, and especially some of the people sending death threats, that's disgusting. I wish I had the luxury of taking time off for a game, but you do you, my friend. Very, very pleasant. One of my favourite things about this string of comments is L-Waves, who is a true PGG defender.
Yeah.
You're our ultimate simp, buddy. I love it. You're always hot in there anytime someone's being mean to us. Bye. You won't be missed, and you didn't understand a single thing that Henry said. Either that, or you're trolling for the triggered fanboy comment. If you are, you can do better than that. And clearly he's won it. Someone else commented back who'd made a similar comment about not liking that I was a bit negative about the idea of taking time off for a video game. So then I commented, we didn't really need that one. Okay, we're back to the original guy. I won't be not missed. He just said I won't be miss, so he's misquoted there. I've lost it again. I won't be missed. You say that like I'm supposed to be sad if no one remembers me, and then you're telling me I can do better. For who? For you? You're a nobody. Why should I care what you think of me? And then I'll jump around a little bit here. I wasn't saying about you feeling sad. This is from L Waves again, who's great. I wasn't about you feeling sad. It was about how other people will feel when you're gone. That second part was intended as a light-hearted dig at you, in case you weren't being serious and were going for the triggered fanboy comment. That style of comment has been done and won before, so I was saying that you need to try harder if you want to win. Clearly you're too triggered and oversensitive to see that, even with a smiley. Henry doesn't have the right to tell you what to do, and you know what? In capitals, he didn't. He stated his opinion, which is not the same thing. Given that you misquote missed and can't use the correct can't grasp what I said and completely misunderstood what Henry said twice, then yes, you are sad and pathetic. See, this is why it's a great one for Triggered Fanboy, because we've got, in a way, a Triggered Fanboy of us fighting our cause with L-Waves.
We don't have to react, because L-Waves has actually nailed him. He's nailed him.
And your capitals with the correct contraction, apostrophe. You're just as much of a nobody as anybody else here, yet you think your unsubscribing action actually matters. How self-absorbed you must be. Once again, I say you won't be missed. Although, because of your follow-up, you might actually win the triggered comment. So congrats on that. We'll call it your leaving present. Thank you very much. And he keeps going for a little bit. He scrambles back a little bit more.
Yeah.
He replies to me again after I said... I literally never said what you can or can't do with your day off. I shamed people for behaving like children. If you're not behaving like a child, then you have nothing to worry about. Some people aren't able to take time off for a video game. I wish I could justify it. Enjoy the game. I feel like I was very, very friendly in a lot of my comments back, very, civil. Then he's back again. Going on the internet and making a random video about it is not going to change anything. Just like this comment section, it's pointless. Just move on. And then a separate comment. I'm done with this comment section. I got better things to do, like tell Cyberpunk 77 how much of a piece of shit they are. Okay, buddy. You've won, you triggered fanboy. Jolly good. You've gone on to say how pointless this whole endeavor is while engaging in the same fucking endeavor. I mean... good for you, pal. I hope you enjoy the game. Kemet Mao, forgive me if I've pronounced your name wrong, and I'm sorry to everyone else if perhaps I didn't make my point clearly that taking time off for a video game is a luxury that many people don't have, and I by all means enjoy it. I wish I could join you. I absolutely would. If I could take a paid week off and just play Cyberpunk all day, I'd be doing that shit.
I mean, I think it's good that viewers do keep us honest in terms of us saying things wrongly, because I don't think you said anything wrong. I said it. I think it might have been the tone.
Yeah, I definitely was. I was a bit like snarky with it, and that's it was kind of.
I think it just came across wrong.
Yeah. So that is my fault. I'm sorry for that.
And it's people keeping us honest. In the comments that help us improve, and we appreciate the constructive feedback. Dislike and unsubscribe. Who the hell are you to tell us? I mean, jumping off the deep end. I mean, that's up to you. You're perfectly entitled to not watch. That's your freedom, your luxury. You can do what you like. But saying and finishing off with, "Oh, you're not going to change anything by making a random YouTube video." How little are you going to change by commenting on that fucking video?
I'm not trying to change anything. The news was that Cyberpunk is delayed because the video was a little bit late after that because I was still away. So it's Cyberpunk is delayed. They're getting death threats. People are complaining because they overreacting. I should say overreacting because they booked time off. That's kind of the three things. I think there might have been a couple of other bits and bobs in there, but that's all. I'm not trying to change anything. It's just information, buddy. I did make a comment. Kind of recontextualizing my opinions on it and kind of clearing things up. And a couple of people commented who were in agreement and saying different things. But one person in particular, I really appreciated their comment because it was exactly the kind of thing I was talking about and the kind of person I'm trying to reach. It's from Wolfsbane. Thank you for saying this. As a vet, it's impossible to get time off or even work down my overtime due to one of us always having to be available out of hours. I can't just waltz into my boss's office and ask for a week off. Who's going to cover my patients? Who's going to cover my evenings, nights, weekends, out of hours? The only answer is my already overworked and underpaid colleagues, and I'm not going to ask them to take on even more work so I can sit at home play video games. Getting time off, especially for something unnecessary, is a luxury, and I'm happy for someone who has a job that they are able to just ask for time off and then get it. That's amazing, but still a luxury. Sorry that the game got delayed, but be happy you can afford and be able to get time off in the first place. See, that's exactly the kind of person I'm talking about. Getting time off for a lot of people is very, very difficult, and I think what I didn't necessarily convey correctly is a lot of people will have worked hard to get time off for this game, and I came across as like reductive for that. So I apologize for that. I didn't mean to do that, but I think taking time off for something like a leisure activity like that, is something that not everyone could do. That's all I'm saying.
There
We've
you
got
go.
a good triggered fanboy out of it.
Hope that's all cleared up. Yeah.
Do you have any comments?
I do have a couple. Okay, so the first one. Talking about the EA getting fined, what was it, $500,000 per day or $250,000
yes,
per day?
€500,000 per week
day.
in the Netherlands.
Matthew Dodds states it would be about $30,420,000,000 a year. Sorry, 30 million. It would be about $30,420,000 per year. And if they're making $1.5 billion a year, they could just brush it off the fine. I'm not sure they could brush off 20% of their profits for the whole game coming just because they're allowing that one game to exist in one country. They're not making 1.5 billion in the Netherlands. That would be way over and above what they're making out of the Netherlands. So they're taking a huge loss on that.
There is a cap to the fine, which I think is like 10 million, but it's still a huge deal that this is happening.
Absolutely. I think in terms of getting fined, he does make a point which he kind of doesn't explain too well, but if they're making 1.5 billion, then they can afford a lawsuit which might cost them 200 grand. It's nothing to them. Nothing. Absolutely zero. Yeah. They can afford to throw money to try and at this case to try and keep that, to secure that 1.5 billion. They've got unlimited resources to try and defend that. Why are they going to concede? So that's loot boxes and it's gambling. You're not allowed to do that. All right, then we'll just take off our 1.5 billion. We won't earn that 1.5 billion anymore. Are they going to do that? No, they're going to fight tooth and nail for that 1 billion. Money talks. Money is power. That's what they're going to try and do. I'm not sure they are willing to pay 30 million in fines just to keep the game in the Netherlands. But the principle is the same. Like, they've got unlimited resources pretty much. And
one of my favorite things about that story is just how EA respond again. It's like, it's fair. It's a choice.
You made a good...
No, it's not.
You made a good job dismantling all their arguments in that video. You just pulled it all apart. Like, it's value, not value. It's not. It's fair. It's not fair. Every single point they made, you were like, nah, this is the
get out.
Absolutely not. Fuck off.
So on the same video, I put like atop my pinned comment. Anyone fancy a trip to Amsterdam to celebrate this W? For science, of course. So then a couple of people commented back. Great content. Thank you very much. I'll bring the hookers, said Urban Shadow 777, and then this is why I like it, because people commented back, plenty of hookers already there, bud.
Exactly.
And you haven't been to Amsterdam, have you? So
why? Yeah, I mean, why would you need to take? Yeah, I mean,
it's not a bring your own booze kind of party. The booze is already there, man.
Yeah, booze is there on tap. There you go. Okay, I've got another comment, and I think it's on the same video. Sir Craze comments, gambling addiction and drug addiction are fundamentally different. One is based on mental addiction, one is based on physical addiction. There are similarities, but it should be treated fundamentally different. I'm not sure if I agree with this, right?
Well, so the point, I understand what he's kind of trying to say, but the reason I put them together is it's not to say that they are the same thing, but it's that they're both very, very damaging and both should be taken seriously. That's kind of what I meant by that.
But on a on a purely like scientific level, what part of your brain is not part of your body? You know, a mental addiction is a physical addiction in the same way. Like, I mean, I'm not a scientist, but from what I understand, right, your brain is part of your body. So a mental addiction is like a psychological addiction. Is that any different? I'm asking a question here. I'm not saying it is or isn't.
Is it still doing the same shit in your brain?
Is that any different? Is a mental addiction, like, what part of your brain, what part of your mind is not part of your brain? Like, is there anything in your mind that isn't in your brain, which is your physical body? You know, we're talking philosophy here. We are talking deep. You know, it's like, how can you be, if you're psychologically addicted, you're by default physically addicted because it's part of your brain that's addicted, right? It's your brain it's your chemicals in your brain addicted. That's how it works, right? That is your body. Physical addiction is a mental addiction, in my opinion. So any addiction is an addiction. The bottom line is, in my eyes. And if I'm wrong, which I may well be, explain to me what part of the brain is not physical, and then I'll hold my hands up.
Yeah. So I've got a comment here, which I think is last week's podcast. No, not last week's, the week before, where I can't remember what prompted it, but I guess we were talking about a FromSoft game or a Dark Souls, which we often do, because neither of us are particularly fans of those types of games. So this is from Dave Santini. Henry, you don't play FromSoft games. You're anti-FPS games. What the hell games do you play? I've never heard you go on about the type of game that you love. It's similar to
Spider-Man. You absolutely love Spider-Man, right?
It's similar to Yongye. It's like he only enjoys games that are cinematic, story-driven, like Uncharted or The Last of Us, which I also love. So I think a lot of people, a fair amount of people commented back saying, like, what's wrong with that? You're coming across as like a bit of a dick. So I like these things, but I don't like these. Am I less of a gamer? Type thing. So he's then commented back, lol, so much projection from everyone who's responded so far. It's interesting to point out that I didn't say anyone was less of a gamer for not enjoying these kinds of games, nor did I say there is anything wrong with it. I simply posed a question. Can't you guys handle that? Well, actually, buddy, perhaps you didn't mean it like that. Maybe you meant it as like a... So, what the hell games do you play? That could very easily be, what the hell games do you play? Or, what the hell games do you play, man? There's certain, like... Yeah, there's two different readings of that, so I think perhaps he was a bit misinterpreted. But I don't play FromSoft games. Okay, that's kind of one sub-genre, and that's... What would you say FromSoft games are on the broader terms? Action RPG, I'd say, really. Well, very hard, but action RPG. So that's one sub-genre. You're anti-FPS. My game of the year this year, which I've stressed several times, is an FPS. My game of the year so far this year, I'm pretty sure, is Doom Eternal. It may change, but currently, it's Doom Eternal. Which is, it's an FPS. It's one of the most FPSs.
Shooter.
I generally don't like FPSs because most of them these days are, well, like the big ones are your Call of Duty, Battlefield, multiplayer type things. I like Apex when I played it, but I don't regularly play it. I really like Titanfall 2, which is a brilliant game. I recently talked about how much I really, really, really like Dishonored and Dishonored 2. Both of those are excellent games, although they're not... They're first-person games, but they're not traditional first-person like shooter games. So that's part of the reason I like them. So I don't know where you're getting that from. What the hell games do you play? Well, my three games of the year: Doom Eternal, high-intensity, fast-paced first-person shooter; Ghost of Tsushima's number 2; open-world, historical, action-adventure games, not really an RPG in any way; and Hades, roguelike, dungeon crawler RPG. Quite indie. Isometric. Like they're three wildly different games. What was my game of the year last year? I can't remember. Did Resident Evil 2 come out last year? I think it might have done. If it did, then that was that one for last year. I'm currently wearing a God of War t-shirt. God of War is my game of the generation, which I've said several times. That's a game I like that one, in case you didn't know. It's
this guy obviously doesn't watch enough of the content, does he?
I get, maybe I can't fault him for not watching everything, but if you're watching a podcast that far into the podcast...
how dare he not watch everything?
But to get that far into the podcast, to get to where we're talking about that, to not understand our viewpoints on other things seems kind of odd. And yeah, Yongye likes cinematic story-driven games like Uncharted: The Last of Us. Yeah, I like those games, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, maybe you didn't explicitly say that was, but perhaps you implied it, and maybe reconsider if you're throwing out, what the hell games do you play? Versus, what the hell games do you play, man? You know?
There you go. So, my I think that's my last comment now from not last podcast, so it's podcast 80. I called it. They all jumped on you. Rhys Cater says, "Fuck you taking a break, you bastard." I'm
an asshole. Sorry, bud. I will be your villain. I will bear that cross. So I think I've got just one more. I think. Just one more. This is from Ollie T. On a video, I think it was this week about. No, might have been last week. Yeah, it must have been last week. Anthem, they've just put out a blog post saying, "Oh, we're going to change this progression. It's going to be this and this," and it sounds it steps in the right direction, but there's still, it's still just words. There's no proof of it yet. So he said, "Anthem as a game sounded great, but in reality, I'll let you know after the loading screen finishes," which I thought was great because fucking hell, the load screen's on that game. It's truth.
All right,
that's all I got.
There are our comments done for this week. Let's move on to the next segment, which is the bad dad joke comments. Sorry, the bad dad joke of the week. It's not even a comment. Fucked that up again. All right, Henry, moving swiftly on. The first one this week is when ordering food at a restaurant, I asked the waiter how they prepare their chicken. "Nothing special," he explained. "We just tell them they're gonna die."
Well, I mean, that's probably a terrible idea because don't they say when an animal dies happier, it tastes better in the long run? Because like when they're scared, I don't know how scientific any of this is, but it's just something I've heard people say.
Massage a cow, and it's tenderer meat. Apparently, I mean,
if you
Wagyu beef, isn't it?
Jump out on a deer and shoot it. There's like these toxins that are released into the meat, and then it sours it. Whereas if you take it out without it knowing, it's totally okay. I don't know. I don't know nothing. I've never been hunting or anything. It's just something people tend to say.
There you go. Right. So the next bad dog, we're going to do 3 as always. I'm trying to find the ones with the most laughy, cry emojis. Right. So we've got one with 5 here. So if you guys on the Discord have been liking the bad jokes, that's what I'm going to read out. It's tough. "I stabbed a vampire, beat some zombies to death, and killed the devil himself. My wife rushed into the room and shouted, 'You're supposed to give them candies!' Because it was Halloween."
Don't know about
that.
That
had 5 laughy cry. I mean, I'm not the filter here. It's you guys on the Discord.
I don't know. I feel like because it's not like a pun. There's no kind of cleverness. It's just he's just beating the shit out of him. Oh yeah, it's Halloween. All right, yeah, cool. But
okay, I've got one last one here. I'm trying to look for the most smiley emojis one. Okay, "I asked my phone, Siri, why am I so bad with women? She said, 'I'm Alexa, you moron.'"
So that's quite funny.
There you go. I mean, we got kind of the... Oh, one last one. "Two antennas got married. The ceremony was okay, but the reception was excellent." Classic.
Yep, nice.
We got there in the end, guys. We got there in the end. God almighty. I mean, yeah, it's worth the price of admission. There's so many of them now, though. It's like the Steam... the Steam marketplace now, where there's just so many like low caliber ones. You got to filter through them all, filter through the chaff. Anyway, that's our bad dad jokes section of the week, and that leaves one last section, which is the ending section, which is me just saying thanks for watching, everybody. And if you do want to support us, bring this content, patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, early access to the podcast, access to the Discord, and you get to ask us questions for the podcast too. And you get to put smiles on our faces, and you get your comment read out, and you get acknowledged in the podcast every week. That's totally worth it. So, and you have our eternal gratitude as well, because, like I said, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to carry on. So that is it for podcast number 81. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Henry, for participating. And on behalf of Henry and myself, we will see you again in the... I'm totally using that face for the thumbnail. We'll see you again in the next episode. Until then, I'm using that one even better. I'm just got 2 faces of you. See you again next time. Until then, bye for now.